Hello, we're going to talk about Pythagorean word problems today. If you're anything like my students, you love word problems and math, so it just doesn't get any more fun than these guys. We do get to draw a lovely pictures, so that's always fun. So let's start with problem number 1. Evelyn walks diagonally from one corner of a basketball court to another. We know basketball courts, they are rectangular, so let's draw a rectangular basketball court. And let's draw Miss Evelyn up here. Put a little bow in her hair. There we go. All right, so Evelyn walks diagonally from one corner to another. The shorter sides are 20 meters. The longer sides are 50 meters. We know this is a rectangular basketball court, so we know that those are 90 degrees. If this length is 20, this length is 20. If this length is 50, this other long length is 50. So we can just do Pythagorean theorem for this guy. One of the legs, we'll call the first one 20. Second one we'll call 50. So we get 400 plus 2500 equals c squared. 2500 and 400 is 2900. And do the square by square rooting. If we look at our handy dandy calculator, square root of 2900 is not a perfect square, but if we get 53.85, if we needed to round, which makes most sense when we're talking about distance, because simplified radicals, we don't really say we went a radical square root of 209 miles today, right? We always say we went 10.2 or whatnot. So in this case, we have 2,900 is 53.9 if we round to the nearest tenth, or 53.85 as if it says round to the nearest hundredth. So just make sure you're looking at the directions carefully on your problems to see what we're doing. Okay, so let's call tenth. So we 53.9. If we needed to simplify the radical, let's look over how to do that because I know we love those so much. We got double zeros at the end, which we know 100 goes into it. So 129. Square root of 100, square root of 29. Square root of 100, that's a perfect square, which is why I picked it. And the square root of 29, 29 is prime. So you could say I walked 10 root 29 across the court, or I walked 53.9 meters across the court. This one definitely makes a little bit more sense in context, but whatever the question says to do, okay? All right, let's look at this next problem. So we got Krishna walks 2 kilometers south and then walks east for some time. When he stops, he's 5 kilometers away from his starting position. How far east did he walk? So remember, never eat soggy waffles, right? So that's our northeast southwest. So then we can draw Krishna up here. I'm going to give him a little baseball cap. And he walks, he walks south. So he walks south for 2 kilometers. And then he walks east for some time. We don't know how long. So we'll put that one as an X. It doesn't say how long we go. But it does say when he stops, so he's right here, he's 5 kilometers away from where he started. So this distance is 5. If he walked south and then east, that would make a right triangle. So we want to figure out how far east he traveled. So let's go ahead and do Pythagorean theorem. 2 squared plus I don't know squared equals 5 squared. Simplify for x. So we get x squared equals 21. Square root of 21 is 4.58257, yada, yada, yada. So if we needed to run to the nearest tenth, we look 2 digits over, and that's 8 is greater than 5, so we need to move it up 1 decimal, and we're talking about kilometers. So he walked 4.6 kilometers east. Okay, last example. Okay, Kai has a 12-foot ladder that he wants to use to hang up holiday lights on his house. He puts the ladder 3.5 feet away from the base of the house. How high up the house will the ladder reach? So, yep, my favorite, another picture. This is my lovely house. Okay, so we have a ladder that is 12 feet. So this distance is a 12-foot ladder. And then we put the ladder, this distance, 3.5 feet away from the house. House, ground, 90 degrees. In a perfect world, right? How high up the house, so we want to know how high up the house, this direction, does the ladder go? So we have a Pythagorean theorem again. So a squared plus b squared equals my hypotenuse squared. So we have 3.5 squared equals 12.25. 12 squared is 144. Now here we're talking about decimals and we have a radical. So very, very, very rarely will a decimal show up in a radical. That's definitely not a complete way to write it, most simplified way to write it. So we get 131.75. So a safe bet, if you have a decimal as an answer before you square root, it's going to be a square root of a or your answer will be a decimal answer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and square root that answer that we just got. And we get 11.4782, blah, 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 blah. Let's go to the nearest tenth. So we look at the second digit. That's a 7, bigger than 5. So we're going to move this guy up. So the ladder can roughly go up 11.5 feet on the house.